Good afternoon, class. My name is Sergeant Garcia. Today I will be briefing you guys on the topic of conflict management. The overall classification of this topic is unclassified. Today's agenda will be going over conflict management to consist of what is conflict management, what is conflict, the three levels of conflict, sources of conflict and factors, conflict management approaches that can be used, conclusion, and we'll be finalizing this brief with questions at the end. To begin with, conflict management is a process that leaders should use to their advantage. If conflict is not managed or resolved, it can have destructive consequences impacting the people within an organization, affecting how individuals or teams work together. Now, it is important and it's ideal for leaders to be able to identify conflict on all levels. If identified, it will help mitigate a conflict, allowing for better handling of a conflict and leading to a solution. To begin with, what is conflict? Conflict is disagreement with one or more people. It can occur between individuals or groups where there is a difference in viewpoints or ideas. Conflict can happen without even being aware that a conflict exists within a team or organization. Secondly, what is conflict management? Conflict management is a process to solve a conflict that is taking place. It will allow leaders to find more than one approach to better handle a conflict. The ideal is the interest of the group's outcomes and how they will perform in a conflict. Before we can initiate conflict management, it is important to understand the three levels of conflict. To begin with, the first level of conflict is intrapersonnel. This level of conflict is taking place within the individual. An example of intrapersonnel is having a sense of being inadequate to perform a task. Also, this conflict is a psychological conflict. It involves the thoughts, the emotions and values that are felt within the individual. The second level of conflict is interpersonnel. It is a conflict that is happening between individuals in the same location. For example, co-workers, team members, roommates, partners. This conflict exists whenever people work together to accomplish a goal. The third and final level of conflict is intergroup conflict. It occurs between groups in the same organization. For example, NCOs plan a PRT program for the company, conflicting on what is best for the company to achieve a higher APFT average. So we identified the three levels of conflict. We can start looking into the sources of conflict to have an idea where the conflict is coming from. Sources of conflict can include competition for limited resources, different values and beliefs, disagreement with how things should be done. It can include race, ethnic, and gender difference, diverse goals or objectives within the organization. Tension and stress can be felt across individuals or teams where they need to accomplish a mission or a task. And also to include power and influence. Who has power in the group? Who has that influence within the organization? We identify the sources of conflict. Now we can identify the types of negative and positive factors that can result from a conflict. Negative factors of conflict: it can damage morale. It may cause polarization. Polarization where it divides the team or individuals based on their opinions or beliefs. Produces regrettable behaviors such as rude comments or even a physical altercation between individuals in a group. It reinforces differences in values. Positive factors that can result from a conflict are: it stimulates interest, problem solving is improved, it can promote change, and it can provide means to work together. So we identify the three level conflicts: interpersonnel, interpersonnel, intergroup. We identify where the source of the conflict, where it's coming from, and we identified the negative and positive results that can can contribute from a conflict. Now we can start initiating the conflict management approach. To begin with, the first approach to conflict management is fulfilling the other side's goal without regard of your own goal. In this approach, you are yielding and working with the other side to help accomplish their goal. Harmony and agreement are the outcomes from this approach. The second approach to conflict management is compromising. The objective of this method is to partially satisfy the interests of both sides. It is characterized by a give and take, where each sides give up something in return for something gained. The third approach to conflict management is competitive. In this approach, the group's goal is primary, other side's objectives are not taken into consideration. It is seen as a win-lose situation. The intent is to achieve goal quickly and assertively. The fourth approach to conflict management is a team is withdrawing from the conflict. You are allowing the other side to direct their own outcome. And this approach is considered an inactive approach. The fifth and final approach to conflict management is collaborative approach. It allows both sides to contribute to solving the conflict. So with the approach, the goal is to find a mutual beneficial solution where, if successfully implemented, it will satisfy both teams' resolution. And also, to add to the collaborative approach, it is, according to ATP 6-22.6, the regulation for team building, it is most desired approach for solving a conflict. To conclude, a conflict is inevitable when individual groups work for a period of time. A conflict does not necessarily mean that it will be unfavorable for individual groups. We've seen that positive results can come out of a conflict. It can promote means to work together. It can promote change. That change that those individuals or groups have been looking for. And lastly, it is up to leaders to use the process of conflict management to determine the outcome of a conflict. Are there any questions?
What type of approach of conflict management are you best at?
I would have to say that the collaborative approach would be the best approach I would be best at, especially coming together with groups and individuals to find a desired solution at the end where both groups can be happy about the solution.
When is conflict management most effective?
It is most effective whenever the conflict is identified from the very beginning. That way leaders can be able to know how to approach that conflict and have a solution for that conflict. Any more questions? This concludes my brief.